What's up YouTube? My name is Chad. This is the Wisco Boater channel. Welcome to a new series of a boat restoration project. I finally have a new project to work on at home. I've gone through a number of boats in the last year or so that I was hoping to restore that didn't quite work out, mainly because of title issues or bad hulls, that sort of thing. So here's what I've gone through in the last year or so. I had a 1967 Sea Ray SRV 170, which had a title issue. There was no title. Being over 16 feet in the state of Wisconsin, you have to have a title, and tracking down previous owners is just too time consuming, too costly, and that's going to be a theme throughout this list that I go through. The next one was a 1971 Sea Ray SRV 170. This one, by the way, all these boats, these four that I'll talk about here real quick, did get parted out and provided funds for the Chris Craft Thirsty Whale for some updates on that boat. Yeah, it's just kind of disappointing that that title issues cause such a problem when you want to restore a boat. So yeah, this 1971 SRV 170, this one had the 6-cylinder 160 horse engine in it. The first one, the 67 SRV 170, had the 4-cylinder Mercruiser 140 in it. Then I found this 1964 Evinrude Sweet 16, which was a really sweet little boat. Had a 90 horse Evinrude on it. That was a Starflight 90. But I mostly parted out. There's still some parts sitting around the garage here that are for sale. But that would have been a cool one to restore just because it had a connection to Chris Craft, and there's a pretty decent following on the Evinrude series. And Johnson also made a line of boats that were very similar in design, used similar hulls and engines and all that stuff, but and that didn't work out. And then the next boat here, same story. This is a 1958 White House Larkliner, and kind of a Jetson looking boat. Really kind of a neat boat. I was really hoping I could do something with this one. I did send a certified letter to the last known registered owner of the boat. That letter was returned as no receipt or declined to open. That one, there's only a couple of those out there that are running right now. There's a black and white one that has a single engine, I think Mercury like 115 or something on it, and there's another one that has twin Evinrude 35, 40, 50 horse motors on it, something like that. That would have been a really cool project, but again, title issues cause the issues here. But also that boat did have, unfortunately, had some cracks in the hull that were going to be basically too time consuming, too costly to restore. So I want to introduce the boat that I'm standing next to right now. And this is a 1969 Glasspar Tacoma 14. It took a little bit of searching to figure out what model this was, but after going through various websites, I was able to find a Glasspar historical page on a website called Fiberglassics, and I was able to match up the boat lines with the appropriate model. So I've got the state registration all taken care of, and the boat is now registered in my name. So it's going to be time to get to work on this before too long, but let's go over some of the details of this boat first, and then start tearing into it. So it is a Glasspar made by Larson Industries, and there's a story on Larson Industries and how they came to own Glasspar. This happened back in the 1960s, 64, 65, and Larson Industries ended up building the Glasspar series boats, basically operations of the company while Glasspar still built these. So this is a 14-foot boat. There is no title to this boat. In the state of Wisconsin, there is no title required for a boat less than 16 feet. And that is essentially what I've been looking for. Something less than 16 feet that I don't have to worry about tracking down a previous titled owner. This boat overall is in very, very good condition considering its age and the fact that it's been sitting outside for a while. I do have to thank the previous owner of this boat for a smoking good deal on this boat. James, if you happen to be watching this, thank you for that. I hope you enjoy watching this series as I work on restoring this boat. I've already got a bunch of ideas on things that I want to do for seats and probably topside paint, covering up this kind of olive green color that it's in decent shape. I think this will actually shine up quite nicely, but I'm not really a big fan of the color. So let's go over the boat from front to back, and I'll kind of have some initial thoughts here of what I want to do with it. The trailer's in really good shape. I probably will put some new wheels and tires on it. It will need a new jack stand. As you can see, it's missing the wheel, and it's crooked, so I'm not really sure if it's bent or if it was a weld-on jack stand, but I'll put a tilting jack stand on in place of that. Not really too terribly worried about the trailer. Otherwise, I've looked it over. It's in really good shape other than the wheels and tires. So back to the front of the boat here. It's got the nice vintage nav light on it. I'm not really sure what this is about. There are no pictures of anything from Glasspar that has this piece of wood mounted on the front of the boat. It's got a tube that goes down into the bow of the boat, and it comes out right up in there. I'll show that here in a second. I have no idea what this is for. Anchor chain maybe. I'm not really sure about that either, because that is an ADF 30 from a company called Crush Proof, which I think probably had something to do with the anchor of the boat. You can see there's rubber pads over there, which probably had an anchor mounted right there at some point. So this is gonna come off, this tube's gonna come out, probably have to seal a hole where the tube goes through, which kind of brings me back to refinishing this olive green color anyway, because I'll have a hole here to seal. There's holes here that have to be covered up once I remove the rubber pads from where the anchor was. Those are gonna have to be covered up. Probably gonna take the ADF 30 tube connection thing. I don't know what exactly that is, but that's gonna come out. There's no windshield, which these boats actually did have a windshield originally. And you can see there's mounting holes here where the windshield would have mounted. I kind of like the look of this boat without the windshield though. So I'm thinking I'm probably just gonna go ahead and fill these and not put a windshield on it. So that would lead to doing a little sanding, priming, and topside paint. Color, yet to be determined. So rubber rail is in decent shape. I'll clean it up a little bit. The hull is in very good condition. Coming back to this ADF 30 thing, goes down into a steel tube, which then mounts underneath the dash here. And what I'm thinking they probably used this for was anchor chain. I think this was the anchor chain locker for the anchor that was mounted right there. Now obviously this would not close with a chain sticking out of it, so again, my guess is there was an anchor mounted here with some sort of quick release hook that you could open this up, hook on the anchor chain, drop your anchor, and spend the day chilling on the water, fishing, whatever this boat was used for. That doesn't explain this hole right here. I have no idea what this is. This goes through underneath the bow here and comes out right there. So it goes up underneath the bow, up to the front. Again, I have no idea what that would have been used for. So we have 4 cleats on the boat. They're all in decent shape. Steering wheel, original Glasspar steering wheel. It's got a little bit of moldy growth on it. That'll clean up okay with a pressure washer. Got the control panel here for the engine. It does have a key. That was a nice surprise that James, the previous owner, happened to find today, just about 30 minutes prior to my arrival. He found the key for the boat, so that's awesome. So it's got electric choke, a cigarette lighter, and I believe that's the oil pressure, or no, that's the hot light. So if the engine gets hot, that would turn on. Over here, switch of some sort, 2-position switch. I'm guessing nav lights, most likely. First position, nav light on the bow. Second position probably would have been the stern light or all-around light. Over on that side, you've got a radio antenna down underneath the panel. It does have an old Jensen radio in it, which, in case you didn't know, my last name is Jensen, so always like finding boats that have Jensen equipment in them. That's not gonna work, I'm sure. This boat's been sitting outside for a long time, so I'm sure that's probably dead. And even if it did work, probably doesn't sound very good. But it's got a tape deck. How retro is that? So the antenna for the radio's over there. Then there's a light mounted on that side. Over here, we've got the Evinrude controls. They do move freely, which is nice because this has been sitting outside for a while. So they're a little stiff, but they do move freely. I'll probably still take this apart, service it, and just make sure that it works as expected. So it's dirty. I haven't cleaned it up. I literally just brought this home a few hours ago. I will be pulling this green carpet out, putting in new carpet. Obviously has no seats anywhere in the boat, so those will have to be done. It's got these mounts here, one on that side, and then there's one there and one there. Don't know what these are for. I'm guessing maybe some sort of bimini top. Coming back here to the trailer, you can see it does have some rusty wheels on it. Tires are probably fairly old. They've got good tread, but they are weather cracked. It's got buddy bearings on it though. So both wheels have buddy bearings, which is good. And for a trailer this old, this is one of the better conditioned trailers that I've come across. Got a little bit of surface rust on it, but that's not a big deal. If I wanted to refinish the trailer, that would be a fairly easy project. The side marker lights do work. Those are LED. The tail lights do not work, which is not a surprise. Every time I come across these old boats with old trailers, they pretty much all have to be rewired, which I enjoy doing. So that is not a big deal at all. So we've got the Glasspar logo there, another set of cleats on either side, all around light for the stern. And then as we get back to the back here, the Evinrude 40 horsepower ski twin, I believe is what this one is. Oh, it's a big twin. Same motor as the ski twin, and I'll give a shout out here to Carrie and Karen, who bought this 1969 Lund RN14 Charger for me a few years ago. They have named it Retro Girl, and they absolutely love the boat. I've become friends with them, great people, love hanging out with them, and I'm so glad they're enjoying this boat. I had a blast restoring it, and it went to a good home. So this Glasspar has the same engine as the Lund, and that I went through and got running. I'll open up the cowl here in a second and show you what that looks like. It's in pretty decent shape. Some wiring needs to be redone, but shouldn't be a big deal. I love these old Evinrudes, these ski twins, big twins. I think they're great motors. And being a two-stroke, they're simple. once you get spark and fuel to them, they just run. So, and this one's in good shape. It's actually in better shape than the Ski Twin that was on the Lund, even though I refinished it and it made it look basically what I consider better than new. Turned out great, but this one's in really good shape. The propeller's okay. It's got a couple of nicks in it. I do have a spare prop that fits this motor. Doesn't appear to be any transom issues. It's pretty straight and solid. I will probably pull this motor off just to be sure at some point. The steering cables, bad. Those have to be replaced. So I'll take the steering cables off and pull the motor, obviously go through all the wiring, just to make sure that all the connections are made properly and we don't have any corrosion issues. I'll check the wiring harness, make sure that's all either good or replace what I need to replace. I'll pull the cowl off here in a second and show you the engine. Speaking of Carrie, she just texted me. So, hi Carrie. These cables here, no idea. They connect to a battery. Obviously they've got giant terminals on them. So it's a battery cable of some sort. Maybe this boat had 2 batteries at one point, but the wiring harness for the engine and battery is on that side. So again, stuff I'll have to go through, figure that out. Here's those other mounts. They're that same shape as the ones that are in the front up there. Again, maybe a bimini top of some sort. Coming back down here to the hull. Again, very good condition, no cracks. This is just a little bit chalky and cloudy. I think putting a polisher on this would shine this thing up beautifully. I'm not going to do anything with the side of the hull or the bottom. The white's fine. I'm just going to change the color of the top. Trailer's good on this side. This wheel's a little worse condition than the starboard side, and that buddy bearing probably isn't the best. So it pulled home just fine. Didn't have any issues. Bearings didn't get hot. I did check them a couple times on the way home. I only drove 19 miles to get this boat. So this was a really good find. Very, very happy with this. So let's go back to the engine here. I'll pull the cowl off and show you what that looks like. Okay, these big twins and Ski Twins have a little lever here. Fold that down, lift up, bring it back just a little bit. There's a little tab on the back. And then you pull the cowl off, which the inside of this cowl, nice and clean. One of the cleaner ones I've seen. Having come across several of these 40-horse Evinrudes, I've seen some that were really, really dirty. This one's really clean. So is the engine. As you can see, it's one of the cleaner, older Evinrudes that I've come across. Not as clean as that Honda, the B100 10 horsepower Honda that I had for a little while. But, I mean, overall, it's in really, really good condition. Carburetor here. A couple of these that I've worked on have had cracked or missing air intakes here for the carburetor. So that's all there. All the wiring looks decent. It's flexible. There are a couple that are corroded and will need to be replaced on the other side. Fuel hoses, I'll replace these. They're a little stiff. And you can see there's corrosion on the clamps here. Wouldn't be surprised if the diaphragm inside the fuel pump is bad. Spark plug wires, flexible. It's got fairly new spark plugs in it. They're not rusty, so that's good. The only rust on the engine is, actually it's not even really rust, it's just flaking paint. Probably not going to worry about that. So coming around to this side of the engine, here's where we have some corrosion issues. See that wire there? It's all green and it's pretty brittle. And this is the hot engine light, or hot engine sensor that connects right over here. I had to replace this on the other ski twin that I did. In fact, I replaced pretty much all the wiring on that engine, and this one probably will get the same treatment, just so I know. There's cracked insulated wires. You can kind of hear it, a little crispy. Corroded, replace those. Starter looks good. Here's the starter solenoid. I'll go through, do the lower unit, do the gear oil change on that. The actuation of the engine, as far as the tilt mechanism goes, works just fine. It's got the same 4-position preset trim here. And even the cables for the forward and reverse gear selection and the throttle cable on this side move freely. So all in all, I think this will be a nice little engine as well. So there's the overview of the new boat project that I will be starting here very soon. I've got a decent weekend ahead of me here where I can start working on taking some of the stuff off the boat. I probably will just start at the bow and work my way back, get the nav light off, get that piece of plywood with the tube in it, whatever that's for, take that out, start taking stuff off the deck so that I can refinish it without any obstruction, get the carpet ripped out, engine controls, lights, all that stuff. So that's going to be the first order of business on the boat. So the video after this will just start taking things apart. So I'm really excited about this. I think this is going to be a fun project. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Wisco Boater channel and this new series. I'm excited to start it. So stay tuned for more updates. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time on the Wisco Boater channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, send me some comments, and if you want to be notified when I post new videos like this one, or maintenance, cruising videos, boating videos on Thirsty Whale or our Door County boating adventures, hit that notification bell. We'll see you next time on the Wisco Boater channel. Happy boating, everybody.